Thank you, Lynn. I won't ignore the elephant in the room. Our final 6 months at Guildhall were not what they could or should have been. The way the school had to move online was such a shame. It saddens me to think how we had our last day in person without even realising it. It's also a shame that our graduation has to take place in this format, but I have every confidence that the in-person events being organised by each department will be a great opportunity to catch up and celebrate properly. However, rather than dwell on the unfortunate end to our time at Guildhall, I would much prefer if you would indulge me as I reminisce about some of my highlights from the past 3 years. Obviously, the key thing I miss about Guildhall is getting to work with the most kind and talented people I'll ever have the pleasure to meet, both on my course and off it. And I'll also miss the donuts from the cafe. However, I certainly won't miss the task of keeping singers from falling off the stage or through trapdoors on Midsummer Night's Dream, or the actors giving beautifully loud renditions of Happy Birthday from the depths of Milton Court. Whilst entertaining, I won't miss the arguments we had with the other years on my course about who gets to use the production office, although we were definitely in the right. And finally, I don't think I'll miss Sundial Court. Some of my favourite accomplishments at my time at Guildhall were figuring out how to blow up a hotel in autumn opera scenes, and the way we built a literal moving forest, complete with a pond in the studio theatre. I think one of my favourite moments at Guildhall in productions was when a cast first came into space and saw the world that we'd been building whilst they were hard at work in rehearsal. I think these moments of collaboration at Guildhall, where courses come together, are where we shine most. There were some weirder things that I did while at Guildhall. We set up a Zen garden in the production office to reduce our final year stress. I don't know about anyone else, but it really did work for me. Turning in assignments at 3:59 PM with 1 minute to go was no longer a heart-racing moment. I really am sorry, drama writer. I also spent a week trudging around in mud, digging up the grounds of Waddesdon Manor. I really didn't think the National Trust would let us do that. We spent a lot of time carrying bizarre bits of set and huge props through the school, interrupting people's lunches, blocking doorways and filling up corridors. This brings me on to a couple of things I would like to apologise for on behalf of the Production Arts Department. Firstly, for the Milton Court lift being out of service 80% of the time, after we kept trying to squeeze bigger and heavier things into it. Our personal best is 1 scissor lift, a trolley of props and 7 students. Secondly, to all the actors and singers and musicians who had to stand still for hours on end during take whilst lighting are working. We were doing something, I promise. Now that the past has me all misty-eyed, I think it would be relevant to look forward to the months and years ahead and consider our place in that future. Since the school moved online in spring and we all suddenly had to go our separate ways, I've seen a huge range of next steps. Some of you are now in higher education, some have seen their careers put on hold, whilst others have had complete U-turns. I think it's such a great testament to our cohort that, despite our industry and job prospects falling through the floor, so many of us have been able to find employment or further training. Those of us who have been fortunate enough to remain in the industry we trained for have been able to bring live entertainment to the public at a time when they, and we, needed it most. I had always thought my immediate step after Guildhall would be freelancing in and around London as a lighting technician. This is obviously not the case. I am still working with lights, however, at a small company in quiet Hertfordshire installing electrics and lighting into sets and props. Although this was not plan A, it has put me on a new path, and not having to pay London prices is certainly a silver lining. One of the key benefits to my new job is the perspective it grants me on the state of our industry. Contrary to news headlines and some articles in The Stage, there are still shows and events being planned and built. I don't mean to belittle the effect that COVID is having on our industry, the devastating effects are clear. But I did work on lighting the new set for Six the Musical, which is scheduled to reopen as soon as guidance allows, and we are also currently involved in building 5 new West End shows, set to open by Christmas if not before. We have also been working in some of London's top venues to upgrade and improve auditoriums whilst they're sadly empty. This work I've been doing over the last few months has shown me how prepared we are to restart. Our industry is patiently waiting in the wings, ready for the house to reopen once again. I think alongside our achievements, it's important to recognise today the incredible efforts of the staff this past year. They worked so hard to deliver our courses within a virtual environment they were never intended to fit. This thanks extends beyond the teaching staff to the entire staff of the school. Thank you so much. So, whilst I know we would all much prefer to be in the basement by 5 PM today, please do not let the hardships of the past 12 months take away from the huge sense of accomplishment you all deserve to be feeling today.